that you should know that the value of the apartment legally, in many instances, runs according to the amount of light in that apartment. If the apartment has no sunlight at all, then the apartment is worthless. A person cannot charge rental any degree for an apartment that does not have light, sunlight in it. Also, the sun.
So now we learn items that pertain to maintaining a person's health. Now we come to items that are forbidden because of actual danger. Dangerous, detrimental to health. In some cases they are extremely dangerous. That's why a person must avoid these as a matter of precaution, as a matter of halacha too. So halacha-wise, all those who have or advanced enough to the great height of learning the Sechta the first beginning and learn, and those of course who are endowed with the memory, some proportion, recall that the Aharon says, Chamida, Sakata, Ve'isuda, which means that the price of vegetables are. This means that there is Isur, a thing which says a thing is treif. That's called an Isur, not Teiras. Didn't teach with a Teiras. The thing is called Sakana, it's not treif, but it's dangerous. There is a stricter law to avoid danger than there is to avoid treif. Many complications of things that are dangerous, which are more forbidden than treif. As, for example, again, those who have advanced far beyond the deep recesses of Yimachul and Torah have learned that it is forbidden to eat fish with meat, even with chicken, because of sakuna, because of danger. It is forbidden to broil or roast fish and meat in the same closed oven, the same compartment, unless one of them is completely sealed in and closed pot. Otherwise, the fact that both odors would mix so completely, merge, even this too is a hazard, a health hazard. So you can understand that a person should never eat both of them together. And if he wants to eat them both, of course, we had learned previously, a person should, eating both, he should first eat the fish and then the meat, not the other way around. You're always supposed to eat a light food first, like chicken comes before meat. You have chicken and meat on your plate, you must eat the chicken first, and then the meat. You have to eat two items, fish and meat. You have to eat the fish, which is lighter to digest first, and then the meat, but in between, you're supposed to have, to separate between the two, you're supposed to have something, eat something, a piece of bread, and also to drink some liquid. It's kiruv, eating the mouth with food, get the taste of the fish out before you proceed with the meat. This is the first item that's sakuna. The second item that's much more sakuna, that is even possibly a fatal sakuna. One thing that a person carries around with him constantly, and this is a fatal carrier, germs, is the human perspiration, sweat. A person's perspiration is poisonous, actually. Therefore, a person should be careful not to get any of it into food, except the perspiration of his face and forehead, that's stool. Any other part of the body perspires, any other part is considered possibly poisonous, but be careful not to get that into any food. So you cannot put food under his arms, for example, a place where the sweat will drip into it. Also, even still more dangerous is money. The root of all, the money which is the cause of so much harm can be the cause too of a person's disease, serious diseases, and he puts coins in his mouth. There are some people who have a habit, inadvertently, subconsciously, or unconsciously, put money in their mouth, put coins in, or there's a tendency to bite them to see if they're real. The coins which are handled by people, some people have this perspiration of their hands. They cling to these coins. Plus, there are people who are carriers of germs. Especially, more than anything else, Yadayim or Ascodius. The hands of a person can get into a lot of places where there is dirt, where there is filth, where there are germs. So a person should be careful, since the money is handled by people with hands, usually, people who have hands. And these hands are Ascodius, therefore they are carriers of germs. They are transferred to this money. In addition to all the rest of the evils that money carries, they even have this too. So the best thing is to get rid of that altogether. Everybody wants to get rid of some and have a collection. So at least the person should be careful not to put the money in his mouth. Well, they say, you make a pledge, put your money where your mouth is. It does not mean inside. It means outside. You can have the mouth, you know, it's very unhealthy. The person should be careful, too, not to place any food underneath his bed. Now, this is dangerous for a spiritual reason. Yet we know that spiritual reasons are more than physical reasons. There are evil spirits, shaitan and so forth, in abundance. There's no shortage of them. And they are found in certain places. Underneath a person's bed where he sleeps, that's where they hide out. If you ever climb under the bed, you'll find it sort of crowded there. You'll understand why. Not because the bed is very low. It's just because they make it feel that way. But that is why it is absolutely dangerous to put any food under the bed, even if the food is covered. You don't put a crate of oranges or say chocolate bars, a case of any kind of food under the bed, applesauce, because this could receive the harmful effects of the shaitanly spirits. And those who store foods, they have no place to put under the beds. They should be warned about this instead, because there's definitely a risk, a positive risk, or they can definitely do harm. So, too, in all cases, a person should be careful to avoid anything that constitutes danger, because sakuna is more serious and more strictly forbidden than Isa. By the same token, a person should not go into places of danger. Because going into places where danger is prevalent, even if he's doing a mitzvah, the mitzvah protects a person from any kind of harm. The mitzvah will not protect the person if he goes into a place of danger. If a person walks into an oven while doing a mitzvah, not going to protect it. Whenever there is an absolute sakana, Kaviyah Zeka, a person walks into, say, a bar in Harlem and says, think you can be safe if you carry your tzitzis in his hand? They'll string you up with it. Well, some of those Yagushes do, they put the thing in his throat. So where there is definite sakana, a person should not walk there. A person should not walk under a ladder. If he's a Yagush, a person should not walk close to a wall, under a ladder, of course, only if there's a can of paint is about to turn over. Then you don't walk under it. You don't walk close to a wall that's caving in. You don't go outside alone at night in a certain neighborhood where it's dark at night and sun-dry times when it's dark. A person should not sleep alone at night. This means a place where he is isolated. A person should not drink water from streams of water that pass by, and you cannot tell if the streams are inhabited by certain types of beings that, when swallowed, make very unhappy tenants in the person's digestive system. So all these things are definitely sakana. A person should avoid them. A person should guide his health very carefully. And in guiding his health, Hashem will turn God into Neshama, should be zechet to serve Hashem, Lishmo. That's supposed to be that will save the
items that are forbidden because of sakuna, danger. There are some things that are small danger, some that are extremely potent. Could even be fatal, chas v'shalom. One of the things that the Gemara says, the Gemara says it's very rough, is a person who smells something which is very tasty, which is very desirable. And at the time he smells it, automatically certain glands in the body begin to function at a very rapid pace, especially the salivary glands. Which means that he begins to feel saliva in his mouth, or as they say, his mouth begins watering at the smell of some very tasty morsels. Now, this saliva is, according to the Gemara, poisonous. A person smells something, he gets saliva in his mouth, he should get rid of that saliva. He has to swallow that without food itself. It's very acidy, and it could actually harm the person internally, chas v'shalom. So, it smells something very good, very tasty, and not be used to water to get rid of it. To a degree, of course, doesn't mean that you gotta wipe out each last drop. But, what is the cure for it? What happens if a person did? There's a story told in Gemara. If you recall, we had this in our Gemara shir, which naturally means that you recall it. The Gemara said that there was one character who wanted to marry a certain girl. And she turned him down. He tried to force his shidduch with her. She was very adamant. He saw there was no use persuade her any longer. His powers of persuasion had failed, so he hit upon this plan. He said to her, fine, we're not going to speak tachlis anymore, but let's just talk. Talk alone is harmless. So he took a type of juicy fruit, it's like a watermelon, something very juicy. He began to eat it, the pomegranate, began to eat it in front of her. And eating that juice, chewing on it, she looked and she became fascinated. It was so hypnotized her into looking at him. He kept eating and chewing in front of her, and she kept on drooling. Drooling. Get some of these women, and they want something, they drool for it, especially food. So, she didn't know. She kept on drooling and swallowing. But he kept this up and watched carefully until finally the acid began to work inside of her. She began to swell up. This was a point where it could have proven fatal. She had no idea what was causing it. All she knew that she was really ill, very dangerously so. And she couldn't understand what caused it. And he said to her, he played on the nerves and said to her, you're in bad shape. And she was desperate. What could you do? So he said, if I cure you, would you promise to marry me? Here's a case where she thought carefully, either to marry him or probably die with this sickness. She figured that death was worse. Death was worse than marrying him. She'd rather marry him. The other way around, it's the other way around. If a man doesn't want a woman, he figures better death than a woman doesn't want. In this case, though, she figured death was worse, and so she said to him, fine, she agreed. So he took the thing again, started to eat. And she's "My kid, you go through this? It's the Hared." So he said, no, you just follow instructions. He started to eat, and as he ate, initially he had the jewel, he told her, don't swallow anything, get rid of it. She kept on expectorating until she expectorated the core of this worm, this germ, this poison came out, and she was cured practically instantly. And she found that through this little ruse, this little trick, she had been hooked. And we see from here, the moral of the story is, stop drooling. And if a person doesn't act properly, in a case like this, it could be very serious consequences. So a person should know that he should avoid any tempting aromas unless he can control himself. There are some people, they can smell something good, but it doesn't tempt them that much when they begin to not be as watering. They're normal. There's some people just go for that so much that they melt completely the thought of a good bit of food. The next item, we began to speak about the fact that a person should not eat anything which he has an extreme distaste for. Do not force a person to eat something he does not like, because this too is very unhealthy. It could be even the healthiest food. A person cannot tolerate, cannot bear the taste of it. To him, that food will not be healthy, it will be very harmful. For example, spinach. Eat spinach, you become strong like Popeye. But if you don't like it, then it works adversely. If you tell your kid, eat spinach, you grow up like Popeye, and he says, he wants to look like Popeye from the head up, and the shoulders up. And that's what it look like if he eats what he doesn't like. So a person should not force himself or anyone else to eat food that is distasteful. Also, to eat food that a person finds distasteful because of cleanliness. There are some people who are the funukim, very delicate. They can't bear to eat food that was touched by somebody else, tasted by somebody else, that fell down, that touched something which is not that clean. The cup is not exactly that pure, clean, washed out. The dish has a speck on it. People like that, those are the mefunakim. The Gemara says whose lives are suffering. So every little thing makes them suffer. Every little thing hurts them, bothers them. That's the Kol Yadei Oni Yadon. It says all the days of a poor man are very sad, very tragic. Which is a poor man? Poor man in this respect. Very poor in this nature of being delicate, brought up very delicately, and he can't stand anything which is not exact. That kind of a person, of course, suffers, but at the same time, you have to sympathize with him. You have to be careful not to force him to eat that which could prove very harmful to him. One item, a behemoth, an animal or a chicken that was close to death, either because of old age or illness, but it was kosher. Now this is an item that you know about, because we have experts here in the laws of shechita. As you know, a behemoth, an animal or bird, if it is treifa, you shecht it, then it remains treifa, it's safe from the vela. But if it is not treifa, it's what's known as mesukenes, danger of dying, at the brink of death, not because of a puncture, perforation in any inside organ. It's just about to breathe its last. And you save it by getting shechita, that is kosher. But it's kosher with a label attached to it, not glut. It's a rough kind of kosher. Besides the fact that this kind of animal or bird is not healthy. It is not good for a person's health to eat something that was that old, that close to death. It's good for the goyim, the agushes. They can eat mud. But for the average person's health, it is not good. Plus, there's an additional point. The Gemara says about the Chesed, each person should adopt that rule. The person should try to eat only glatt kosher. Glatt kosher in the real sense of the word. What is if we take glatt kosher, the true sense of the word is not because it says on the sign glatt kosher, or it says on the label glatt kosher, as under the supervision of Rabbi Mike Pat Murphy, one of those. Glatt kosher means smooth kosher. There's no problem involved. If there's any kind of a problem, the shaila on a piece of meat, you found something, you have to ask a rabbi, is this kosher? It's of course if you know what you're asking. There's some problem there, and he says, yes, it's passable, it's good, it's kosher, it's glatt kosher. If there was a shaila on it, then the thing wasn't smooth. Smooth means it goes straight through, it comes out, it's kosher, it's glatt. If there's a problem, it means that it was rough. And that kind of roughness, there are some people, like Yechezkel Hanavi, and others who followed, they would refuse to eat from what is known as a basar shehoda b'chacham. Any meat which a rabbi paskin a shayla about, they don't want that kind of meat, because that is not glatt. Of course, if a person doesn't know what a shayla is, and he asks a rabbi if this meat is kosher because they happen to put it on a scale in which they weigh other things, it's still kosher, those kind of shaylas are not shaylas. We're talking about real shaylas, real questions in halacha, even though the result was, if the answer was it's kosher, the fact that it was a shayla, it becomes basar l'chacham, a person who is very careful, very strict, in wasn't kashrus, would try to avoid that kind of meat. But the other one, the Sekirus, is not healthy to eat. Therefore, a person should try to get fresh food, fresh meat, which is the healthiest, which means to Kayim, all the mitzvahs of Hashem, and to be fresh ourselves, not stale, in Avodas Hashem, thereby see that the Yesod Mashiach here. It is that you're not allowed to cut down a tree which bears fruit at any time. It's actually a dimmed Isa. In fact, this is if you come into enemy territory, if you capture enemy territory, you want to destroy it, you don't do anything, kill the trees that bear fruit. It is very dangerous for the person who does it. He can harm himself, Chas v'shalom, and others. And in fact, it was brought that the fruit-bearing tree really contains more than what you see. The pasuk says, "Ki hodam eitz hasoda." Person is a tree in the field. Arizal brings the mushroom of the fruit-bearing tree, which refers to a person's wife, children, wealth, money, everything refers to these branches, leaves, and so on. Fruit that comes out of the branches. So a person should be very careful for safety's sake not to cut down a fruit-bearing tree. There are exceptions to this rule. A person, if, let's say, a fruit-bearing tree is doing harm to other trees, one type of tree which draws nourishment does harm to other trees that are more important, you're allowed to remove it. Or if he really needs that spot, they want to build a shul there, there are trees that bear fruit, of course you're allowed to cut it down. You have to be very careful in judging, not be too hasty in taking it down because of sakana danger. It was brought in din, and of course this is a matter for judgment itself. The person who's judging is be careful in judging. We have a statement of din which is contrary to customary medical practice. A person has stomach pains. Din says that he should, because of sakuna danger, he should definitely avoid using hot water bottles. what about when the stomach is dangerous. Today's medical practice is to use it frequently, and it's up to the person to decide which one to follow. It's possible, not too probable, that as with many other things, nature has changed. Medicines which were good 1,000 years ago today are worthless. The rules of nature have changed, and in living things, in many cases we spoke about previously, it's possible this too has changed, but it's not probable that it's changed within the past 100 years, or less, since this rule was in effect at that time. As today's doctors became smarter, that's the most improbable thing of all. It is forbidden for a person to go into a river, stream, which is deep, and the waters are turbulent. If it's waters are quiet, they're passive, serene, there's no danger. But if the waters are turbulent and waves and endanger a person, Chas v'shalom, drowning, the person is not allowed to go in there. It's not a question of he'll take his chances, he's a good swimmer. The person has no right, he does not own his body. It's not his property. He can say, it's mine, it's my life, I can do what I want with it. And it's definitely not so. A person, person spills his own blood, he is held to account for it just as much as if he kills someone else. Exactly, it's considered murder. Suicide is exactly the same sin as murder. A person who would throw somebody into the fire, into a strong current, to risk his life, same sin, the person did that to himself. And therefore this is a very serious crime. A person to take a chance, go swimming where the tide is strong, then where it's dangerous. We had a very serious tragedy here, I recall many years ago. Rabbi of the Brighton 4th Street Shul. Very sad family. He went out swimming one day, in the summertime, the day before, very early in the morning, when nobody was on the beach. And he was a good swimmer, yet he got a cramp, and the tide carried him out, and he drowned. A short time later, his son was killed. His son was in the army. Well, it was a sad family. That was during the Second World War. But the Brighton received a shock then, because he was one of the leading rabbis of Brighton Beach, how a person should guard himself if in the Arizal if such levels this could happen too. The person is not protected against anything. They could drown. And one who is an excellent swimmer, surely the regular person should be careful, very cautious in taking any kind of a risk. But this says too that a person should be careful to watch his tongue. As Shlomo says that life and death are within the power of the tongue. The person does not know that there's a special connection between his tongue and the Satan. As the Satan was given the right to grasp, capture any words that slip out of the person's mouth, and to use those words against him. This is an actual literal case. Whatever you say can be held against you by the Satan. The person's in anger curses himself or curses somebody else, then the Satan could have a right to take those words and to use them. A person should never say to a child, some people have very loose tongue, say to a child, the devil should get you, the mad dog should attack you. They say it not really meaning it, but these words come out. All these words are ones that the Satan himself could use against the person. A person who is wise will guard his tongue very carefully, never to allow such things to come out. This Halacha, that's called Shmiras Habris, to watch a person's tongue, both against, of course, speaking Lashon Hara, what the tail and so on, and also to be loose in his words, loose usage of words, persons use curse words or different things, or they swear loosely, so help me, so forth, things like that. They say, so help me by Zussan, right? So help me Jonah janitor. Or they say, so help me dash. And that is using Hashem's name and his name for one thing. And secondly, it is considered swearing, swearing in vain. Whether it's true or false. Certainly more so it's false. A person must guard his tongue very carefully because the tongue has tremendous powers. Human tongue is extremely powerful. It has the power of a double-edged sword. And of course it could be used for much more powerful good. What can a person accomplish in words that the words of the person being a spamia in a small town and they kill in a city that's hundreds of miles away by speaking less against somebody? Imagine where the harm of a person could be on earth